Julian sent me a little videotape that he did of himself and why he wanted to be on the show and the value. And I didn't even second guess wanting to be on the show after seeing the video. I'm like, this guy took the time to put together a YouTube video, send it to me, listen to a few of my shows, and told me on that video what he liked about him. I would imagine there's probably some value in that. You know, maybe you're looking to hire somebody for a job and somebody sends you a video resume, man. That's got to be the way to go.
Well, you know, it definitely can't hurt. I got to tell you, it's a really interesting way. I mean, look, just so many things have changed since, what's with the internet and that, the way to market or gain access to everybody out there on so many levels is so cool. I do think some of it's a little crazy too, but that's neither here nor there. That's not, I don't want to be negative at all, but I just think it's there for us to take advantage of, and hopefully it's in a positive and beautiful way, that moves our world forward and not backwards.
Yeah. So, speaking of moving the world forward and not backwards, and by the way, for the listeners, I would encourage you to go down and follow the path of any of your dreams, especially, listening to John. I'll tell you what, John, you talking about going around the world twice and kind of interjecting into these different cultures. That sounds fascinating to me. I wish I had more time in my life to do that. And wow, how great to do that within the career path that you're in, man. That's got to be pretty incredible.
It's awesome. I mean, it's really, it's awesome. I mean, it really, really is. And now I dig it. I'm thankful.
Now you touched on it briefly. You brought up Cazcanes Tequila, which I know just from looking at your background, you're involved with an emerging tequila brand, which certainly came out of your love affair with it dating way back. So what's the story behind that? Because that sounds like a little bit more than you just like to drink tequila.
Well, it's turned into definitely more than that. Even, over the years, I've acquired a taste, and I don't really drink any other hard liquor. I'm not not condoning people to do that. I just don't care for the others. I like beer, I like red wine and stuff, but tequila, because it comes from the agave plant, is a different kind of buzz personally. I mean, if you want to get candid about it, but it's a different kind of experience in drinking a spirit, basically. Mm-hmm. And there's, I think, a part of it too is the Mexican people. And where it comes from, the place it comes from in Jalisco, in that valley, volcanic mountains all around. I mean, it's magical. It's enchanting is maybe even a better word. And through the years, I've learned to, I've acquired a taste for it, and I've collected different ones and all that. And randomly, I gave a bottle of tequila to an old friend at our 60th birthday party, not knowing they even drank tequila. And I said, here, it was Don Julio Silver, actually, which is a nice drinking silver tequila. And I said, just add ice and fresh squeezed lime wedges. That's it. And you'll live 10 years longer. And I, joking, whatever. And she goes, John, you should sit across from Chris, who's an old friend of mine I've known for 30 years as well, her husband. And it was he and his brother who makes this tequila, who's the master distiller, who made connections up in Mammoth with these cats, these Mexican guys, Robert and then Jose, and the guy Humberto, who was actually the guy in the jungle up in Jalisco, who had the original 200-year-old recipe. I mean, it goes on, and I just got enchanted by this, and they asked if I would be interested in doing a friends and family investment, and for, not a large amount, for 1% of the company, so they could raise money to take it to the next level. So I thought, why not? I did that. I've come to learn is that this tequila, it's won these awards 2 years in a row, which is unheard of, which is called a double gold. Our Blanco has won a double gold international, San Francisco International Spirit Awards 2 years in a row, 18 and 19. That's where I think there's 7 judges, and they are all blind tasting, and they all gave it a gold medal. And that's how different, and that's like amazing. To get it 1 year is amazing, but to get it 2 years in a row is even more amazing. And then we won this last year Best in Show, which means the best tasting, clear, non-aged spirit of any gin, vodka, or silver tequila on the planet, in their estimation, at this very prestigious competition. So randomly, I mean, after tasting it a little year and a half ago and then putting in that money, I thought, I want to get to learn more about this. So I went down with Colin, who also randomly is a key grip in the movie business. He used to work with my dad. This is and he knew my brother. I mean, it's so, talk about serendipity. And Colin, I had seen him in the business, but I didn't really know him. Okay.
Really?
And he's he's a genius, by the way. He's an artist. He's number 5 in bagpipes in the world. He's an incredible guitar player. He's he's incredible. He makes his own wine, and that's how he, the curiosity about tequila came upon him, and his brother hooked him up to these guys in Mexico. And he went 5 years ago. He just got on a plane and went down there and went up in the jungle there and learned the recipe, the original recipe, and turned it from mezcal into certified, real awesome tequila. And what's interesting is it all goes back again to me, to the Mexican people, and the people there, and the culture, and the where these guys are from is a place called Osto Tapaquillo, for short, Ostos, and it's in the valley of Jalisco, where a couple towns over from people have probably heard of the town of Tequila, where most tequilas are distilled, actually, and there's agave grown throughout the whole province of Jalisco, in that huge valley and up in the mountains. But I went there the first time to see how real is this stuff. How real is this? To see the distillery, to see where these people live. I'm telling you, it's like, this town is 600 years old. Cobblestone streets. Honestly, Colin and I were the only 2 Caucasian white folks in the whole town.
Yeah.
And we were just so loved and taken care of by those Mexican people. And they're not rich by any means, but they're happy, and they're happy. Not but they're happy, and they're happy is maybe their way to say it. And forget the fact that that valley is even more beautiful than Napa Valley. I mean, it's gorgeous there. And seeing the agave grow there, like, vineyards, I mean, it's amazing. And it's a whole thing, and it's a whole culture, and I think it's just the enchantment of it all. And then for me to be a part of a story, of a product that is really the essence of really good Blue Moreno agave spring water that's filtered, just to make sure nothing weird goes in there, and the natural yeast in the air that ferments it once it's been processed and cooked to that point, and squeezed into a fermentation situation, and it comes out nectar of the gods. I mean, it is amazing, and it's 100 proof, and it's the smoothest 100 proof probably spirit maybe on the planet. I don't know. Yeah. It's amazing, and obviously I'm passionate about it. I could talk about it forever, but I love it, and I want to help it. I want to allow the world to taste it, not just because for business reasons, but for fun.
Well, how great that you fell in love with something on top of what you already do in a foreign country. You've turned it into a side project for yourself, but yet you're so passionate about it. What's really cool too is you love tequila. You were given this introduction, and then you realize, wow, not only is this great tequila that I'm tasting, but it's won all the awards to back it up too, because that doesn't normally happen.
Exactly, and a matter of fact, we have to now let our business catch up with the awards, which we're in the process of doing, and it's not easy. And there's a lot of tequilas out there, and it's a big market in tequila. Tequila has become huge, as people know, and it's competing with all the other spirits in a very serious way. So it's not. I know it's not easy. Never anything in this world that's worth a shit, or worth something really, is something you have to work hard for, and then you value it even more. And so that's part of the deal. We know it's not going to be handed to us that everybody drinks this, but we sure would like them to, and we know that it's worth getting it out there for everybody because it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's incredible. I really appreciate you sharing your story. From lighting to movies to directing, now all the way to tequila. It just really shows if you love what you do and you're passionate, things come your way that you can be involved with. And what a great career path. And my listeners know that I've got a tequila background, and so I'm going to have to dig in with you more offline about this tequila project and learn a little bit more about it and taste what you're talking about. And God, I can't wait for the world to taste what you're presenting to them, because it sounds pretty fascinating to me too.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's pretty amazing actually, and I think you'll dig it, of course. Well, listen, I'm just glad to be able to, late in life, to be able to have a new passion.
Yeah.
That's kind of odd. I'm 62 years old, so I've had two 30-year runs. Now, what's the next 30 years going to be like? Or God willing, I make it that far or whatever. But hey, and I like tequila. I have what I call is two little guys every day, and it's ice in and it's not a huge glass, but a regular small glass with tequila and 2 or 3 lime wedges in it. And I do 2 of those every evening, and that's my little routine. And I call them little guys. So
yeah, well,
enjoy little guys.
It's 10:45. I think I'll be ready for a couple little guys in about an hour and a half.
That's awesome.
Hey, John, thanks for letting us call you and harass you in your wonderful day in city of San Clemente, and I'm sure our listeners will appreciate your story and where you've landed. So, hey, if you're interested in the movies that John's put out, he's got a great Wikipedia site. I know he's not responsible for that, but somebody's done a really good job putting all your information up there. It's just fascinating, all the projects you've been on. So thanks for sharing your story with us, John.
My pleasure. Thank you for even wanting to listen, and I enjoyed it. And I think it's great what you're doing too as well, Jim. So thanks a lot, brother. You just have a great day.
Yep, take care. Well, that's a wrap on the show, and our guest, John Leonetti. Really appreciate him taking the time out of his schedule. I know he's on a little bit of a furlough from making movies, and I don't know how they do that. I'm talking about celebrities and everybody involved in the movie business. They have a job, and when the movie's done and in the can, they're out of a job. And then they've got to spend the next however much time goes by finding the next job, and hopefully their talent speaks for themselves. I've got to give a lot of respect to people in that industry, and I know sometimes we don't necessarily appreciate the celebrities we see in interviews or on the screen, but at the same time, to go through the process of losing your job every time you finish doing a job, especially if you're doing a blockbuster movie. Could you imagine doing a blockbuster movie, making millions for the studio and yourself, and all of a sudden you're out of a job because that's the process? That just seems crazy to me, because so often we're stuck in our daily jobs, career jobs that have all the security in the world, and whether we give 100% or not, we get to maintain that job on most occasions. And I'm sure we've all looked around the room in these corporate offices and seen people that are only given 50%. So kudos to them for their constant ability to fight for the next job, and being as good at their jobs as they possibly can so they get hired again. So it's not as always easy on the outside, but I love John's passion for what he does and who he is, and what an incredible family history. I know some of our listeners are in their 20s, and you probably never even seen or heard of Singing in the Rain. Certainly most people have seen The Wizard of Oz, but the fact that John's family was an integral part of those movies and all the stuff that John's done, he really does have an impressive Wikipedia page. Just goes along with what I'm constantly preaching, and that is what you believe is what you will achieve. Mark Victor Hansen. And every morning I'm writing down the things that I have more than enough of. And by the way, I've been saying that on, I've got to say, every show so far, and that's from David Meltzer. I wake up mornings and just feel so entirely blessed for the things that I have. And I walk downstairs. My wife's usually up before me having her coffee. And I just look at her and said, we are very fortunate. And she says, I know we are. I was just thinking about that. And I think that does a lot for your heart and soul and how you approach the day, because we are very fortunate, especially living in these United States and all the things that we have access to and the opportunities that we have access to here. Just listening to the stories of my guests proves that every single Wednesday. And I hope to hear from you and some of your successes. So, hey, if you've enjoyed the show, please pass it along to somebody. Let them know.